Can an everyday normal guy like myself and maybe like you get the job done when you've got a paint issue with whatever car you have, whether it's an old classic, a muscle car, a sports car, or just, a winter beater? Can you get the job done when you're missing paint or clear coat on your car, or do you need to spend thousands? We're gonna try to do this for under $100. So under $100, can you actually fix the vehicle yourself, those exterior paint issues that really bring down the overall look and value of a vehicle? This is also a really important process if you're trying to buy cars, fix them up and resell them. Doing as much as you can yourself is key. Also, owning and holding on to an older vehicle is key, being able to do as much as possible yourself so you're not forced to sell because of expensive repairs. And if you sell when the car is not looking so great or running so well, you're gonna lose out thousands on your sale price. So we've got a backup plan. Follow us along. We're gonna go step by step on fixing up this Porsche 911. But first, let's cover what we're gonna be doing to the vehicle, get it done, and see the overall results. Will we crash and burn? And if so, have to actually send it off to be professionally done and spend over $1,000? Or can we get the job done ourselves? Stay tuned, but right before, to find out, stay tuned, but right before, do hit that like button and subscribe and turn bell notifications on, as it really helps the community grow. It really helps the channel continue to go. So help us out, and a special thank you to our members for making all this possible. Now let's get a look at the damage on the vehicle. So first, let's cover the damage that's on the vehicle, then what we're gonna use to hopefully fix it, or crash and burn, first of all, and then see the final results if we are actually able to pull it off. So first of all, the main issue is the clear coat started to peel. We were pressure washing the vehicle and the clear coat just started to fly off, and you can really see it here, layered. Tried to take a can of clear very quickly because this was right at the beginning of spring, and no place was left in the garage so that the weather doesn't fade out and ruin the paint. We got to spraying it really quickly, but we have some runoff here. And you can see more of it's coming off. So we do need to sand down most of this bumper. And while we're at it, if we have any success, we'll redo the lights, because you can see the clear on the lights is starting to go as well. And that's actually on both the lights. So we're gonna try to clear all this up. So this is gonna be about getting clear the lights, making the lights look better, hopefully, and getting rid of the old clear that is cracked and put on new clear. So let's cover what we're gonna need. All right, so if you're an everyday, regular, normal guy like myself and you need to paint on the cheap, or might call it the poor person's paint job, or the poor person's clear job, what are you gonna need? Well, everything we need is actually right behind me. So here's your weekend warrior kit for taking care of the clear. Now, we don't have a can of spray paint because we're gonna try to do this without actually having to repaint the whole bumper. We just wanna very carefully sand down the clear, and that means we've got a can of clear coat, we've got some alcohol, rubbing alcohol there for cleaning, we've got a face mask, we'll throw on goggles as well, we've got a bucket for water, we've got the hose back there, and for sandpaper, well, we've got a bit of everything that is quite light. So we'll go as low as 800 grit, or as rough as 800 grit, and we'll go to then sanding it with 1,000 grit, 800, then a sanding of 1,000 grit, then 1,500 grit, and then 2,000 grit to really make sure that there's no lines left before we throw on the clear coat. So hopefully this isn't gonna be a disaster. Let's get started by taking off the front headlights, masking everything off, then masking ourselves off, and get to clearing the vehicle. Now, the process would be essentially the same process if we are then going to be painting. Just before hitting up the clear, we'd sand down the paint and then go through a process of spraying primer, spraying paint, and then throwing on the clear coat. Let's see if we can actually get away with not having to repaint the whole bumper despite the issue with the clear. Now, if you have a Honda Civic or a BMW, a lot of vehicles with age will lose their clear. So hopefully this will be an everyday, normal, regular guy fix on the cheap, so we can continue owning all these different vehicles, playing around and having lots of fun, and trying to bring you ways to save thousands of dollars during your car ownership experience. As mentioned, or hopefully mentioned before, this is definitely not the best way to get this job done, but it is definitely the least expensive. And like a regular, normal, everyday guy, I spent all my money on cars and car parts. So I've got the dream of getting a Porsche 911, but now I'm out of money and I don't have the money to repaint the bumper, at least not for a while. So as at least a short-term fix, this could be disastrous, but let's go through the major first step. Now, first of all, don't get the wife upset, or girlfriend. So throw on some old clothes they don't mind saying bye to, because you might wreck it. And paper it up. Obviously, a little bigger budget, get some actual plastic, so you just have to tarp it off and tape it down. But paper and tape it down so that when it does come to spraying, or even when you're sanding, you're not getting, clear coat sand or the clear coat stickiness once it's time to stick it down and spray it down all over the place. So let's check this out. So we've taped everything down, taken actually the lights out. You could have taped over it as well, but the lights need to get done as well, clear coated. And you can see here, the goal is going to be to sand that so that it's level without going through the paint. If we go through the paint, the job is ruined. So we need to try to mostly sand right along this nasty ridge to get it as flat as possible. Once it's as flat as possible, we can clear coat, because you can't expect to actually clear coat and have the clear coat just magically level up with that and make it disappear. I don't think there's any amount of clear coat that you're going to throw on that's going to make that happen, and you're going to get a run. So I had previously tried to fix this real quick, and I had a big run here that's almost, I've started doing a little bit of sanding. You can see that's almost out. So let's continue the job and see if this is going to be a disaster or a quick fix to save thousands. All right, the job is moving forward. Could be going better. I'll tell you about that in just a minute, but backup has arrived just in time for Father's Day. We got the paw there showing up in the Mustang. He'll give a little Father's Day helping hand, at least tell me what I'm doing wrong. And sanding is moving. Now that sounds awfully good, but this isn't looking so great. So will we pull through? We've actually gone through to the paint in a few spots, so we'll have to get a little touch-up paint before throwing back on the clear coat. And ideally, I would have actually, and then I'd say should have bought a can of paint matching this color and thrown on maybe a coat or 3-4 coats before doing the clear coat, because I have gone through. Well, stay tuned. Let's see if we can pull this off. Maybe not my greatest idea thus far. Hey, we've got Red Carnation here. 5-liter red GT Mustang with backup right there, the man himself. And let's finish it up on the red Porsche. And if you're new to the channel, well, catch our videos, because other than the 2024 Ford F-150 Tremor that we're long-term reviewing, we also have this little gem in the garage. Normally we have a 1991 Toyota MR2 on its 4th engine, but we also have this car right here, a red Shelby. So yes, we like red cars. All right, so probably the worst way to do this, but definitely the least expensive. So let's continue on with our inexpensive job. I sometimes do things all wrong, and maybe this won't turn out, but we already have one coat on the lights here, and I'm gonna throw on one more coat. So there you go, quick few little coats. Cleaned off the lights after sanding them with 1,000, 1,500, then 2,000 grit sandpaper. Washed them, then took rubbing alcohol and rubbed them down so that they're clean. Doing it when the wind's not blowing. As the parental figure said, hey, whoa, there's wind, don't do it now. And boy, was he ever right about that, because that would have caused problems. So you don't want to put it on too thick, because if it does, it's always going to look wet. And if it's really thick, it's actually going to drip. So you definitely don't want it to drip. And you don't want to go from too far away and too quickly either, because then it's just going to fume and kind of look like very fine sandpaper. So you need to get it wet enough, but not too wet. And that's where all the mistakes are usually made. Now let's head over to the car and get the car done. So The bigger the surface, the more problematic and difficult this is. Ideally would have hit this up with some actual paint. So let's start from the paper. To the paper. And we definitely do not want to put it on too quick. Don't want to do a swiping motion that's too quick or too far away or too slow. Too much is the worst. It's going to look constantly wet, and well, too slow and it's just going to look misted, kind of like there's fog or like a light mist on the car. So you want to go and do a few coats when there's no wind, because of course ultimate budget job means we don't have a paint shop. Okay, so that's just going to be our base coating. We'll let that dry and then we'll hit it up again. All right, so we've got the final result behind us, and I've got to say I'm not completely satisfied, but I'm not totally dissatisfied. Didn't do exactly what we would call a handsome job, but it certainly was inexpensive. And I think it could have actually turned out to be a pretty darn good, even great job had I invested in one extra thing. So let me just review. If we would have just had the proper paint in even a spray can, the job would have looked much better. For anything that's just, you know, slight uneven shine, well, we will have final results when we throw on a compound, but we're gonna let the clear coat really settle in for a few weeks before we hit it up with polish and compound. And I think that's gonna help. So far, it's looking better than before, but let's face it, the whole car ideally needs to be repainted. We've had the whole car compounded before, and well, what can I say? The clear coat just started to peel on the front bumper, and it's starting to kind of peel all over the entire car. Generally, once a car starts to peel the clear coat, it's slow doom. So the whole car needs to be redone. Now, what would I do differently next time for this to be a lot better? Well, let's cover that as we review closer what the job came out. So the job came out, clearly I was a little too quick and impatient with the bend over here. Kind of bent me over, and I got a little distracted and I over sanded. So that's when I went down to the 800 grit. That was a mistake. I should have been more patient, and using a sander was obviously a lot less work, but should have probably done it all by hand. Had I not gone through the paint there, this would look pretty good. You can see with the reflection that we've got a pretty good clear coat on here. Now the lights aren't perfect, but they are better. They're not all peeling all the way through. Polish and compound should get them looking pretty darn perfect, so I don't regret that whatsoever. But I do regret not having at least a paint can. And next time, I think having a proper compressor, not a little 1 or 2 gallon, but a good proper 5 to 10 gallon, ideally a 10 gallon compressor, a big tall boy, and a proper spray gun, which I already have. I just don't have the big enough compressor. But with a full compressor, we could have done this outside, right in the yard, repainted the entire bumper, and it would have cost me, you know, a 1/4 gallon or liter of paint roughly to do this. A liter or a 1/4 gallon of clear, and we would have had an excellent job. But overall, can I say that it was a bad idea to do this the most economical way, the thriftiest or the everyday man way? No, not at all. It's gonna help me wait until the next stage, and the next stage is when we just have the whole car repainted, because we've got stone chips and we've got clear coat starting to go a little everywhere. You can see almost no clear coat here, and it's led to discoloring. No clear coat here. Had a big old patch of clear coat come off right there. And actually redid this also by can, and this one I did by hand. And the clear coat that's peeled, there's a little bit of a ridge, but you only see that at about 2-3 feet away. Looks very good as a 5-foot vehicle. So follow more for tips and tricks to save thousands of dollars to do it. Car maintenance, car repairs, general car stuff, do it yourself to save thousands, because, well, I want to hold off because repainting the whole car, let's talk a little bit more this about Porsche 911 behind me, I really love. I love how it handles. It's an absolute blast to drive, and some days I prefer driving it over the 2017 Shelby GT350. Not in regards to sound, but just handling in corners. It's worth it, but a full paint job is gonna be about $8,000. That's a lot of money. So this paint can method was just to hold off. Now I've got to decide, would I really try to paint an entire car outside with a proper compressor? Probably not. That's probably really pushing it, because a lot can go on during the time period required to repaint the whole car. But could I do section by section? Like in a day, just the front bumper. In a day, just the hood. And can you? Yes, absolutely. And I think it's worth, when your paint is already pretty much finished or very close to it, it's worth trying and putting in the effort, because if it goes wrong, then you can always send it off to the professionals. So I'm debating whether I put the $8,000 in sending it to a professional, $6,000 to $8,000, or if I do it myself for the price of a compressor and, you know, probably at least a gallon of paint and a gallon of clear. So let me know in the comments section what your everyday normal guy work on your own vehicles, how it's gone, what you've taken on. Love to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews, and I wish you all more cars and more power, and hope you get to take on some projects and have a lot of fun owning the cars that you own. Let me know about your experiences. Take care, everyone, and thank you so much for watching. It'd really help if you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn bell notifications on so we can grow our community and get you know, more knowledgeable people coming in and talking about the best ways and the right ways to do things, not just my everyday normal guy way of doing things. Take care, everybody. Godspeed.